Hey guys, Burton Posey again with Addo Games, and I am continuing my tutorial series on sort of a walkthrough how-to of how I approach unwrapping. And then the last tutorial is a little bit of an optional one. Just kind of went through the tedious process of unwrapping things and getting a basic unwrap UV texture layout, which you can see here. I've kind of tweaked this in between the tutorials. I joined a couple of these larger shells here into more of a skin. I think this will give the artist a little bit of an easier time to kind of see any sort of flow through these. Um, so now we're at the point where things get a little particular to how we have been doing things for this project. And I actually mentioned it in either the last tutorial or the one before, but if you look at our concept, we've got some we try to mirror everything. That's why I'm only working with half of this guy, but we have these asymmetrical details on the face. So what we try to do is we try to take this face region and we create a second set. So normally if I were going to just duplicate this guy along the origin, oops, excuse me. Let's see what is going on. There we go. I was just going to duplicate him along the origin, that'd be fine, and we'd have this guy ready and he'd be, ready to go, ready to jam. But what we would end up with is whatever details we painted over here or over here in the texture, they're actually the same space. So when I select this guy, you'll see when I switch to UVs that I've got, sorry, these are two different objects. Let's go ahead and see they're both the same. That face is the same as this one over here. And that's going to be a problem because we're only going to be able to paint in this texture, on one layer. Whatever the image looks like is what's going to go into the face. So what we need to do is come up with a special approach for this. And so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this guy. I'm going to select these two faces. Let's see if this works. I don't do invert selection very often. I'm actually going to select all these faces just to be thorough. I'm going to delete everything else in that model. And now what I'm going to do is, looks like there's a little bit of a seam there, some gap. We'll see. I'll go in and pinch those to the axis again in a second. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to put these UVs over here. So now there's going to be two sets for two sets of faces, and they're going to need unique UVs. And this, when I do a layout, it's going to understand that. So I'm going to use the combine tool, which I have it on the shelf. If you want to make a shelf command for anything in Maya 2, when you're going to select it, you just hold down the Shift and the Control key in Mac, and it will drop something on the current shelf you have. So anyway, got this combined. The next thing I need to do is actually weld the verts that are in the middle. Should be 3 less. Yep, 1, 2, and 3 right there where the face was duplicated across. I'm not seeing that seam anymore either, which is good. You can see that we have UV borders on, and we are seeing a border down the middle now, which is good. What we want to do now is, let's go ahead and take another look at how this thing will UV layout. Cool. A little concerned about that. What is that? That's interesting, isn't it? Let's switch to UVs. Let's move this out and let's I think sometimes layout has a problem with backwards UVs. Yeah, so we lost a little bit of texture resolution across the board because it needed to fit everything in. I think I'm going to take this opportunity to join this along this edge here. These are all hard edges anyway on this mohawk. this robot mohawk. So I think I'm happy with that. I don't think these are like really mission critical details on this part here. I mean, all this is pretty important, but I want to make sure that we can get any gains where we can get any gains. And this thing sticking down like that was becoming a hindrance. I think you should see that this takes a little bit better use of the space when it comes out of it. Maybe not. Not really. Kind of wondering if having the separate shells would help at all. Let me just try that real quick. All right, let's try this. See anything get bigger? Not really. I'm gonna undo that. It's always worth a try, a check. So, kind of wish I could join these two edges together, right? Like that. I think I'm going to disconnect the face altogether. Take his face off. All right, so we get a little bit of more interesting take a look at our texture borders just in case. So we've got our face here. It's pretty nice and straight. It's going to be really easy for the artist to paint on this. The rest of this stuff's going to be, it's got some interesting angles. I think you'll be able to deal with it. You know, I think I would like to go in here and straighten these out. I just don't think that these things are going to be that important. Thanks for bearing with me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these guys and I'm going to use these sort of anchor tools to get these all lined up, or these align tools or whatever they're called. Just sort of, I'm going to have to go in and eyeball this stuff though, where these guys are getting moved around like this. Need to find where I'm at too in 3D. Let's take a look at what the UVs look like there. As long as they're the right scale is really what I'm concerned about. I think unfolding these guys is going to have undesired results. I think I might just need to do another layout and a layout to get them all to scale together, and also yeah, I don't know what else it was. Essentially, I usually take on, I mean, another way to do this is just to bring them over here and sort of, the thing I'm worried about is just how proportionate these are to one another. I mean, they look pretty straight to me, so I guess I can't complain. You know, if this was in a regular shape where all these segments weren't the same, this would be a you know, something to potentially be concerned about how I'm doing this. But I think we can get a lot more texture space not having these like semi-circular forms on there. So I'm just going to roll with this and see where it gets me. I probably should be concerned with the how wide these are. What I'm going to do is lay them out and then scale them up really, scale all the UVs up really big for all this, and just make sure those are all oops. I'm going to go and save real quick. Might do an unfold here on this one. Just kind of worried about how these are skewing, or how they are skewed. Try to keep them equidistant here. That is not going to be the case with these last two especially. Gonna unfold. Awesome. A little concerned about how those spaces are going to be Where is this guy? Yeah, we're gonna need to, let me finish these last two, and then actually I'll pause it for a few seconds and go ahead and do this, and then I'll put the video back on when I'm done. All right, I started the video back and I have most of these guys straightened out. The only thing I'm concerned about now is some of the proportions, like horizontally and vertically. With this grid, the grid's a little big right here, so what we need to do is we need to select all of these guys and get them really nice and get the UVs really nice and big and see if we're having any problems with things like this. These guys look a little squashed. I know they're a little warped because I've taken what I'm gonna do is figure out, see how that looks a little squat or a little thin. So what we want to do is find this guy, and what we need to do is make it more square and scale it up as a whole. I'm not too worried, like I said, I'm not worried about the stretching as much as I am the proportions of the square itself. Does the square look big? I think that looks about right there. Let's take these other guys. Let's figure out where this guy is. Gotta switch out of, there we go. That one looks pretty good. It looks a little thin, so we need to, or a little wide. So we'll move those out. Let's figure out where these are. These are on this up and down face over here. Scale this up. I think those are little squats. I keep saying squat, but I realize that I'm squishing these verts a little too wide. I'm happy with that. These are some of the other two that I did. These are on this side. That actually looks really good. I think I'm going to leave that. And this one is up here. That one looks pretty good too. I'm going to go ahead and go to UVs though on this and just bring this out here for a second. Yeah, I like that. I'm happy with that. All right, so we're done. Let's go ahead and lay it out. We have clear my history and save and save and save. And I think we're ready to do our, we've got our unique UVs for the face. Everything else seems to be in pretty good shape. And I think we're ready to do our ambient occlusion bake. So one of the things about our game is that we have we're going for a vinyl toy look. So vinyl toys have this very kind of soft, matte kind of look to them. And we're trying to replicate that with the look and feel of a robot. So we use lots of vibrant colors, and to get the soft feel, we use ambient occlusion to give it this sort of just really nice, gentle, soft feeling. And instead of doing that in the engine with lighting, we do it in our textures. So we will bake the ambient occlusion into our models, and it'll give it a nice soft look.